Bonjour tout le monde. Hello everybody. Today for for French A1, we are going to learn your first verb, le verbe être. Être means to be. And we're going to talk about how best to use it. It's certainly one of the most useful verbs in any language. And so what I wrote underneath le verbe être, and then one of you asked me last time what that accent circonflexe is on top of the first E here. And that means only that in the Middle Ages, people pronounced this word estre, which they no longer do. They say être. Notice that I'm using the r in a soft way, être. And then I write votre premier verbe en français, your first French verb. Verbs in French work about the way ours do with some important differences, and we're going to go over that a bit. And so in learning this verb, which is only our very first verb, you will learn a lot of things about how to use a verb in French. And so in order for you to do this, especially I think of someone for whom English might be a second language, you've already thought a great deal in English about how we use verbs. But if somebody is not someone who learned English as an older person but learned it as their first language, you're probably not really conscious on a daily basis of how you use verbs. You just use them. So I wanted to just sort of go over a little bit of information about them that you realize. If I use the verb to be, it looks like this. I am, you are, he, she, one, or I could also say it, is, we are, they are. It's an irregular verb. Here, what I write? Yes, this verb is irregular because we tend to have fairly simple constructions. Think of the verb to walk. I walk, you walk, he walks. That's where the one thing we make a change with, we add an S in the present tense. We walk, they walk. One thing that makes our English use of a verb a little more complicated for a foreign language learner is that we use a lot of present tense gerunds, which means we use ing. There's a difference between I walk to the store every day and I am walking to the store. Or as people used to say if someone interrupted them on their way to work in New York, where I'm from, I'm walking over here. We use that, and most languages actually don't do that nearly as often, if ever at all, as we do. But generally speaking, our conjugations are fairly regular in the present tense, and it's fairly easy to get those down. However, we do have irregular verbs because I am, we don't say I am, you am, he am, we am, they am. But I wanted you to know there's two things here. First of all, the irregularity, because am is not are, is not is. And also we have I, you, he, she, one, it, we, and they as different persons. And if you remember from your English classes, there's a difference between Catcher in the Rye, a first-person narrative novel, and Bright Lights Big City by Jay McInerney, which is written all in you. That's very rare, second person. Most novels in English, or indeed any language, I think of Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens, are written in the third person. Poor Oliver Twist, he was very hungry. It's not written from the point of view specifically of Oliver Twist. So we know first person, second person, third person. And we is the first person plural. They is third person plural, and our second person doesn't have a plural case which is separate from the singular case. Just a review of English grammar because you use it all day and don't think about it. That will help you get to the grammar in the new language. Être means to be. It's the same verb. But note that French verbs infinitives don't begin with to. We say to dance, to walk, to fly. They don't. They always have a single word to mean that. I'm trying to think what you would know from pop culture that's like that. There's an Italian song. Italian grammar and French grammar are about the same. There was a very popular song in the 50s, which is kind of adorable, talking about to fly. It's about, being a member of the jet set and to get away. Volare, oh, which means to fly. Cantare, oh, in Italian, to sing. That's Italian, not French. But just to show you, volare is one word, cantare is one word, etre is one word. And all the other infinitives we are going to learn in French are going to be one words unless they have a reflexive pronoun, something you absolutely do not need to worry about at this moment. Like, just not on the menu for this season of your learning. So infinitives come in one word. Another difference between French and English verbs that you already know. We've been talking about this in class. There are two kinds of words for you, not just one. And this changes the conjugation of all verbs in French. It's different than the English language model. So here, we're going to practice this at some length. I'm going to take a sip of my beverage. I'm going to ask you to repeat. I'm going to pause a little so you can repeat. And my suggestion is that you practice this multiple times. You can hit pause and rewind or just watch the whole video again. I would suggest you do. Je suis. Je suis. Your turn. Tu es. Tu es. Il est. Elle est. On est. I'm going to repeat that one. Il est. Elle est. On est. Nous sommes. Nous sommes. Vous êtes. Vous êtes. Ils sont. Elles sont. So let me tell you about part 1 of your homework. I'm going to ask you to recite the whole conjugation of this verb 10 times as homework. Try to memorize it if you can. If you can't, it's a work in progress, but at some point you will want to just know this cold. It may not come overnight. Don't freak out if you don't, but do practice it. The only way one memorizes something is by practicing it. And then I want to talk to you about negative things. I don't mean like, oh my God, I'm so bummed out. I'm not talking about that kind of negativity. I'm talking about simply saying something in the negative. The way a person uses a negative with a French verb is different than the way one uses a negative in English. Here's what I'm talking about. In English, I say, they are not English. Talking about a group of people. They are not English. And the negator, not, comes after the verb, are. So, except for, maybe in Wayne's World, the movie, where they say, I'm so disappointed. Not! I'm totally psyched. Um, we know that we say they are not English. I am not crazy. Or any number of other things like that. In French, though, it's different. In French, I say, and notice that the negator I have here, it's two words, not one. And it flanks the verb. Elles, which means it's a group of only females. Elles ne sont pas anglaises. Anglaise means feminine plural English people. That is a whole topic for our next lesson. We are going to go over that. I'll just briefly say, if I had a group of only men or a mixed group of men and women, I would say, ils ne sont pas anglais. And notice the z is the connection of the s at the end of pas to the a. If I were saying Portuguese people, I would say, elles ne sont pas portugaises. And if I were saying it about masculine people, I would say, ils ne sont pas portugais. So much more on that. That's not really at the center of today's lesson. We're going to have a whole lesson on this one question. We may even have two lessons on this one question because it is rather central to the beginning of French. So don't worry if you don't get it right now, that little part about the feminine and the masculine. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Today, though, I wanted you to see how not and ne pas work kind of the same way. We stick it near the verb in English. We put it right after the verb. The French make a sandwich with their negation of the verb. Ne and pas make a sandwich out of sont. And so here is how one conjugates être with negation. And so I'm going to ask you once more to repeat after me. Je ne suis pas. I'll say that again. Je ne suis pas. And if I were saying it very fast in conversation, it would sound like je ne suis pas. Tu n'es pas. Tu n'es pas. Il n'est pas. Elle n'est pas. On n'est pas. Excuse me, my dog is tangled in my wires. What are you doing? What are you doing? Here, we need to untangle you. I'm really not trying to be a jerk. Come on, we need to untangle you. Come here. Come here. That's better. So much better. Okay, I moved my cord so that's less easy for her to do. New dog. We have a new dog. She is new to cords, apparently. Here, you want to see the dog? Come on. Here, I'm going to show everybody the dog. Come here. Come here. Oops, come here. See? This is Angel. Angel is a scary pit bull. She is my natural alarm system in my soon-to-be new house. And I have another dog, Cruiser. Cruiser, come here. Come here, Cruiser. Come up. Come on up. Come on up, Cruiser. Here, I'll move this. Come on up. Come on up, Cruiser. Come on. You can do it. Okay. See, this is Cruiser. These are the dogs. This is Cruiser. And Angel, you've already met. I am sorry. They were so interested in learning how to conjugate in the negation. All right, I'm going to begin from the beginning because I've been slightly distracted. And I'll ask you once more to repeat after me. Je ne suis pas. Tu n'es pas. Il n'est pas. Elle n'est pas. On n'est pas. Very good. Nous ne sommes pas. Nous ne sommes pas tous chiens. We are not all dogs. Vous n'êtes pas. I'll repeat that. Vous n'êtes pas. Ils ne sont pas. Elles ne sont pas. Sorry for the distractions. I just needed to make sure nobody was chewing on anything that could cause them to choke. So part 2 of your homework is not to adopt 2 rescue pit bulls. That was my homework, apparently. Part 2 of your homework is to recite the whole conjugation of this verb 10 times in the negative with ne and pas flanking the verb, by which I mean say je ne suis pas, tu n'es pas, il n'est pas, elle n'est pas, on n'est pas. Nous ne sommes pas, vous n'êtes pas, ils ne sont pas, elles ne sont pas. There you go. Try to memorize it. And then I have a third part of your homework. And for this, you're likely need a French dictionary. There are lots of really good French dictionaries on the market. But you don't necessarily need to buy one. There are good ones online. I use them online a fair amount. But because obviously, hello, what do? I'm teaching French. I have an electronic dictionary that I use most of the time. I do have a couple of hard copies around here in my library at home. Yes, I'm so bookish I actually have a library at home. That's a thing with me. But I also have one on my iPad that I can use just in case I need to double check my spelling when I'm writing a letter, for instance, in French. But if you're going to be a serious French student, you may wish to invest in either an electronic or hard copy dictionary, or you could just use the free ones online. They really work for most things. But you will need it for this because I'm asking you to expand your vocabulary with adjectives. It's nice to say I am or I am not, but at some point we have to stop being Hamlet. To be or not to be, that is the question, which, by the way, translated into French is être ou ne pas être, ceci est la question. Oui, je parle français, Cruiser. Cruiser's like, don't commit suicide, Hamlet Ann. All right, so you're going to want to learn some adjectives. So first you have to think of 3 things that you are. What are 3 adjectives that could describe you? One's, by the way, that you're willing to share on a Zoom class, not, your most private, personal, only to your therapist and your confessor at the Catholic Church that you attend kinds of adjectives. But like what you are perfectly happy to be publicly known as. Then think of 3 things which you are not. What are 3 adjectives that definitely do not describe you? Look up those all 6 of those in the dictionary. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is to write these out in complete sentences in French about what you are and what you are not. Every French adjective, as I mentioned earlier in the video, has a masculine version and a feminine version. And depending on your gender identity, so not judging, you will want to slightly change the spelling of it according to which gender you belong to. And this will be the work of our next class session. We're going to talk about gender in French by itself. It is such a big topic in French that I didn't want to start there. I think that it helps to start using gendered adjectives before we dive into the theoretical underpinnings of it all, which are kind of harder to wrap your mind around than just, hi, my name is Janine, and like most Tauruses, I'm super stubborn. Or perhaps you have other adjectives you'd like to say. Come to class next time prepared to recite the things that you are and you are not. I'm going to ask you to do that. And if you like, I suggest you do this. You're paying me to do it. Submit these to me in writing via email so that I can correct them for you so you can see how to do that. It may make sense for you if there are accents on your words. You can either do that with inserting symbols in Microsoft Word, or you can take a picture of something with your phone that you handwrite, as long as I can understand your handwriting. And you can send me the picture. That'll do just fine. And so to show you, as a good sport, how to do this, I'm offering my own list here. Les choses que je suis et que je ne suis pas. That means the things that I am and that I am not. And here you can see I have one column, je suis, I am. And then I have another column, je ne suis pas, I am not, je ne suis pas. So, je suis optimiste. I'm optimistic, generally speaking. I'm sort of ridiculously optimistic. I get more pleasure than other people from just buying a single shot at the lottery because for a little while I allow myself the fantasy that I've obviously totally won it. And I think of all the things I would do. And yeah, I spent $2 I didn't need to spend. And no, I have yet to win, Powerball. I'm really sorry, Cruiser, I didn't win Powerball. So sorry. But I will be able to feel good about it because I'm an optimist. Je suis optimiste. Je suis croyante. That means that I am a believer, but it means it's formulated as an adjective. I'm a Christian. And the reason why people don't say je suis chrétienne, I mean, you can if you're talking about yourself, in terms of your religion, or you could say je suis juif, or je suis musulman, or je suis, athée, atheist, but those are not really adjectives. Those are groups. But croyant or non-croyant, believing or unbelieving, is more typical because the French culture pretty much still has a toll gate at the Catholic Church, no matter what happened during the French Revolution. I mean, they killed some priests and stuff in the French Revolution. But it doesn't matter. Even if you don't believe in God, even if you are the biggest existentialist, atheist, communist, you probably baptize your babies in French culture. You're very likely to marry someone who wants to get married in the church. It's not impossible. You'll just have a civil ceremony, but those are far rarer. People like to be married in the church, and most everybody wants their funeral in a church. It's a thing in the culture. It still is. But the difference is that people don't necessarily actually believe if they're doing all this. For instance, I'm a godmother to a French, now he's a young man. My God, that means I'm old. But in any case, I was his godmother at his baptism many years ago. And his grandfather, who I knew also, asked me, you don't mind all this religious stuff with being the godmother, he said in French. And I said, no, I don't. I'm a believer. I said, je suis croyante. And he looked at me and he said, vraiment? Really? And it's like, and I said, oui, yes. And he said, oh, c'est bon, c'est bon. But because he sort of thought it was good that somebody should believe, but he honestly thought it was BS. That's the French attitude. It would be nice if somebody believed in it because that'd be traditional. And tradition has a value, clearly, if you're getting baptized and married in churches that you don't believe in. But he himself did not believe. Here's another thing that I am. Je suis marrante. Marrante means kind of wacky sense of humor-ish. Funny, goofy, funny. Marrant for a man, marrante for a woman. Je ne suis pas. My husband just walked in and asked where cruiser was. Je ne suis pas dépressive. Je ne suis pas dépressive. I'm not depressive. I tend to be fairly willing to be rendered happy even in a very sad moment in my life. I don't stay stuck in it for a long time, usually, even if I'm genuinely grief-stricken. Je ne suis pas craintive. I'm not generally a fearful person. Craintif for a man, craintive for a woman. Same with dépressif for a man, dépressive for a woman. Je ne suis pas craintive. I tend to be what the French would say, courageuse. I'm generally pretty brave. Je ne suis pas méchante. I'm not mean. Regina George might be a mean girl. I never was one. So that's how I would have done the homework if I were in this class. It's entirely up to you how you would do the homework. Maintenant à vous. That means now it's your turn. I think I've said quite enough on this video, don't you? And my dogs decided to get involved. That probably will happen again. They are a little bit of a perky bunch of dogs. And also, excellent guard dogs. Perfectly good with little kids. Dangerous to, people who want to steal the silverware. Really dangerous if someone breaks in the house. But if someone comes to the house with their toddler, they'll just wag their tail and lick them. It'll just be a nice encounter. And in the meantime, Angel and Cruiser and I say à la prochaine. À la prochaine means until next time. Bye-bye.